Excuse me. Goodness. The allergies are allergiesing. Allergy whiz. Can I get a break? Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome. So, today is May the 30th, 2026. And apparently, today's the day of the mythical dragons and dungeons. I'm using the Mystical Mondays, the Mystic Mondays, Mythical Creatures, Oracle cards, and Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. Also, we have a full moon Sagittarius. That opposition, I think, is pretty close. We got the Daddy of Pentacles coming up. I haven't used this deck in a minute. And the nodes. So I think the sun was like 9 degrees and some change Gemini, which means the full moon is going to hit 9 degrees and some change Sagittarius. But the nodes are 3 degrees and some change Pisces and Virgo. So there's a loose grand mutable cross happening. Yes, I went to BK the other day. They were apparently handing out crowns. It's not every time, it's very rarely these days, especially for a man of my age, that they ask if I want a crown. I was like, sure, why not? I feel like I'm rethinking complementarity when it comes to alcohol, question mark. Because I know there's a few things I've mixed with the mango chili rum that kind of muted it. But today I feel some kind of appreciation. Like, it's not too spicy. I have a Dunkin' Black Cherry Ricky or something, Cherry Lime Ricky or something like that, which is their black cherry refresher with the limeade base. And it's pretty good. Like, it's not too spicy, but I feel like it's still fruity enough. But it's not like super pronounced, which is fine. Hey Brian, how's it going? And yeah, I think what I want to do today is I'm still shuffling all these up. Sometimes I do the shuffle. I mean, honestly, quite frequently I shuffle on camera. And being more honest than that, a lot of times I don't even have the decks that I'm going to use before I hit go live. There are some times where it feels like the preparation is a part of it, and then there are other times where it feels like to be prepared is a part of it. But I think what I'm going to do is maybe because of this grand mutable cross, I want to get into that Sabian symbols book that I have on the bookstore. Excuse me, Apple. It's Beckley, maybe. And I'm going to read Gemini, Sagittarius, 9 degrees, and Pisces, Virgo, 3 degrees. Right? I mean, I guess it doesn't take long to confirm. So, as of now, the sun is 9 degrees, 26 minutes, Gemini. The south node is 3 degrees, 55 minutes, Virgo. Moon is 3 degrees, 58 minutes, Sagittarius. And the north node is 3 degrees, 55 minutes, Pisces. So there's like this T square that's pretty exact between the moon and the north and south lunar nodes at that. And then as the moon progresses, it forms a tighter opposition to the sun in Gemini. And then, we get that full moon. Where the books? Where the books? You know what's kind of wild to me? Sometimes, like, I have an old iPhone 10. And like I'll still remember where certain apps are, and I haven't really used the phone in so long. And it's not here, it's down here. I feel like I moved it somewhere to be like super convenient. There it is, literally right there. And then I always forget. It's almost like when like I'll have like the apps set up on my phone in a certain way, or I'll have things rearranged in a certain way. And then I'll be like, oh, well, like, let me make this more convenient for myself by moving stuff around or whatever. And it's like after I move it, then crosses of the Sabian symbols loosen the energy of your astrology by Beck space Lui was the one I got on Apple Books or whatever this is. Um, I'll look for it where it was, and it's like I didn't remember where it was before I moved it, but now that I've moved it, all of a sudden I'm like aware of where it used to be. I'm gonna blow my nose. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And as you can see, when I bent over to pick up a thing that, well, maybe you can't tell. The crown fell. I'll put it back on. Okay. So, contents. These are cardinal, fixed, mutable. And let's go 3 to 4. So, Gemini 3 to 4 is holly and mistletoe. Sagittarius, no, sorry. Virgo 3 to 4 is a chocolate child. Girl, what? Why? No, no. I'm reading it from the book, okay? Now, the Sabian symbols came out a while ago. I feel like as I'm reading this, I'm like, or we could not. I mean, maybe. Let's go look at 9 degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius to see if 9 to 10 degrees. Yeah, let's just stick. It's fine. It's fine. Let's just stick to the original plan, right? Just pulling the cards and seeing what's happening. Uh, you know what? Why not? It's Sabian symbols. I can read the Sapien symbols. So Gemini 9 to 10 degrees is an airplane falling, which is interesting. So the cross appears to start with disaster Gemini because protection from disasters. Didn't we see that in one of the angels from the Angel Tarot? Anyway, Gemini 9 to 10 degrees is an airplane falling where the sun is. The moon at Sagittarius 9 to 10 degrees, a golden haired goddess of opportunity. And then Pisces 3 to 4 degrees of the north node is heavy traffic on a narrow isthmus. And then Virgo 3 to 4 degrees on the south node is a chocolate child playing with whites. So, it's like inclusive and stuff like that. We're breaking racial boundaries and stuff, right? So I'm just like, okay, girl, we're starting strong. We are starting strong. Maybe I can like take a screenshot. This is what I'll do. I can do this, and I can move this here, and then I'll multitask, right? I'll open up this other one, wherever it may be, so that I can see both of these at the same time. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Go. So we have an airplane falling, a chocolate child playing with whites, a golden haired goddess of opportunity, and heavy traffic on a narrow isthmus. Now, I actually kind of sort of love that combination. Because first is the chocolate child playing with whites, and then we have the goddess of opportunity. Especially because there's been so much yin yang, masculine, feminine, light, dark, flesh and the soul, ego and the spiritual, whatever, right? Lately. I'm like, okay. Heavy traffic on a narrow isthmus. I feel like I kind of, there are things to appreciate about that energy, especially in light of like, recent readings and the chalk. The card from the Dungeons and Dragons tarot that flipped out is this three. I would say it's probably the three of strength question mark. Excuse me, not strength, charisma. Which one is earth? The three of earth. No. Water. It could be water. The three of wisdom. No. Is it the three of strength? Was I accidentally right? No, it's the three of intelligence. Oh, with the teardrop, maybe I should have gotten that three of swords energy. I just finished watching the champagne. I don't know French champignon witch, which is like this mushroom witch who takes the poisons of humanity, the things that poison our minds and hearts, like you know, um, insensitivity and injustice against other groups of people. Because in the show, there were like black witches, white witches, and people. And then there's like the end of all things, which is basically when the darkness and ugliness of mankind gets to a point where it just kind of destroys everything. And the black witches, again, they purify and remove those poisons before they sort of build up and concentrate to that degree. And the champignon, which does it in a way where she turns them into like mushrooms, poisonous mushrooms that eventually just sort of like disperse. So to see the mushrooms down here, and that's almost giving the yuck shroom energy. And those are the ones that just kind of float away. It gives catches. In Sahaja Yoga, you would do a foot soaking meditation too. And it's just like the little things that kind of sort of build up in the everyday and day to day. Right. So it could be like minor frustrations that we carry with us. And if we don't sort of release them, then over time they accumulate into larger things, which is interesting because that gives an energy that is very much so a lot of the pests that we saw in that last booster pack from Magic the Gathering. Right. There was the skeleton pest and then there was the pest token. And, a pest by itself is like a minor inconvenience. But if you get enough of them together and if you let them sort of do their thing over time, that's when they become bigger. That's when it can lead to bigger issues, right? And then we had the King of Pentacles and Justice come out from the Mystic Mondays tarot. And that is an interesting combination because it's just like the way that he is like ready for this ruling, for the verdict, I guess, to be announced, reached. It's like, okay, excuse me. Cool. I mean, I had a few more thoughts after that chalk, right? And I wasn't necessarily gonna. I'm just curious about this book. I wasn't necessarily gonna get into it, but I mean, it's not that it necessarily came out, but I guess I'm looking at the nodes. Cool. All right. I think we'll just put these back and get into it. So we had the chocolate and milk chocolate mixer, the swirl, the ice cream swirl. We had an airplane falling, heavy traffic on a narrow isthmus, and the golden haired goddess of opportunity. Now, an isthmus is that's a land bridge, right? It's a narrow strip of land that connects two larger land masses. And then a strait is a narrow channel of water that connects two larger bodies of water, right? I'm pretty sure. And so, what I love about that, because there was the whole like, if there is larger scale justice that is being doled out, there was an energy of like a narrow strip of land that connects two larger land masses and separates two bodies of water. The separation of two bodies of water is also important in the definition of an isthmus. Okay, cool. And then a strait is like the opposite. Or you flip it instead of you flip the land and water dynamics. I'm pretty sure. So, what was I saying? Because there was an energy of like discrimination, but not discrimination, obviously, in like like a racial, gender discriminatory way. Discrimination in like terms of things, like if there are 20 people in a room and only three people are guilty of whatever, then the discrimination would be like to get the three people, and then the other 17 people, like they're not caught up in it. Excuse me. So in a way that's very similar to like discernment, because there was an energy of that. Um, and then it was like, for example, if there's something going on at work and I don't know, some governing body is about to come in and raid the place, it would be like another job opportunity that comes up that your discernment tells you is for you to take, right? And then you take it, so like you're already gone when that raid happens because you were innocent, and it doesn't do you any favors to be caught up in that, even like sort of remotely or tangentially. And so the heavy traffic on the narrow isthmus paired with that goddess of opportunity is like it's getting the people into like this other area who need to make that transit, so that when justice happens over here, all the people that needed to get out are already out, right? Like with the airplane falling because some stuff is about to go down. And again, the chocolate, instead of it being racial, the chocolate child playing with whites, it could be whatever that energy of union or two halves coming together to make a greater whole is that's been coming out lately. Like when we saw with in the last live that wasn't the chalk, there was the attraction of men to women and women to men, and then there was that angel that like consecrates those unions, right? So it's like they pair up and then they get in the car and they make that journey across the isthmus to the other landmass. And I don't know if it's going to be like the water surges to separate those two or what. The world card did come out when I was shuffling the King of Pentacles and Justice back into the Mystic Mondays with this Ten of Wands at the bottom of the deck and the Six of Pentacles behind that. The Ten of Wands is a card of journeying. Ten of Wands, Eight of Cups, Six of Swords, cards that depict movement. This is probably one of the tougher ones because of everything that she carries. And so in a in a time of emergency, she would be told to like leave everything behind. But it's like if she's getting away early enough, then she can carry everything that she needs or wants to take with her. Right? Not in a baggagey kind of way, but in a way where it's not like the panic of just leave everything and like go, just go. Right? Because there are some things that are like irreplaceable. I don't know. I'm not like starving, but I am keeping an eye out on the food text. Even this, is this giving like earthbender, waterbender as the creator of that bridge? Okay, we got some interesting cards at the bottom of the deck. I don't know. Oh, I wish I would have showed you. I wish I would have showed you, but I didn't. I mean, I still could have, but it's fine. There was a weapon being forged on the bottom of the deck, and then there was a card of that one knight guy holding that like Mjolnir type weapon. Was the artisan like Rush? I feel like Loki was up to Loki tricks, and that's why the like handle of Mjolnir is a lot shorter than it was intended to be. How am I going to do this? Mm, I kind of wish maybe I can get one card for each. I don't necessarily care about the airplane falling, and I feel like we've done enough. So the Gemini, Sun and Gemini, I'm like the Virgo, South Node in Virgo. I feel like we've talked about it. Sun and Gemini, I'm like, I don't necessarily care about the airplane falling. Um, South Node Virgo, I feel like there's been enough of the like integration, whole self, whatever. Sagittarius being the golden haired goddess of opportunity, maybe. And the, I feel like with the narrow isthmus, there's like the curiosity of this new land, other land. But now that I think about it, we saw the Six of Swords in the After Tarot multiple times where they made landfall. Ultimately, I don't know. It's like those are the Sabian symbols. We ain't necessarily got to do more with them. But, at first I was like, girl, what? But it's about like harmony and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I can, I can read it. Let's see what mythical creature. If there were a mythical creature that symbolized, I kind of want to get two. So maybe I'll give it a few shuffles and take the top and bottom. I mean, it is Gemini season, right? So we're playing with polarities, dualities, twins, multiples. Not not necessarily singular forces, but you could say complex phenomena, right? Like there's a singular phenomenon that has interesting. Okay. The jackalope is at the bottom of the deck. The naga is what came out. And I feel like naga is an energy that has so many different connotations to it. Like I feel like it has both positive and not so positive. And not just because they're kind of like lizard people. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the jackalope at the bottom of the deck. I mean, jackalope is just like the jackalope, right? Naga is on page 118. Where are my page numbers? It is amazing that they numbered the pages in the beginning. But oh, here they are. I was like, if I can't see the page number on the actual page, how helpful is it really? Keywords for the Naga: wealth, money, opportunity, hidden treasure. Again, the hidden treasure of the compass reading, the hidden treasures revealing hidden treasures, reveals hidden dangers. Lucky chance, serendipity, growth, abundance, paradise, luxury, beauty, gifts, opulence, and privilege. Nagas are a semi divine race of shape shifting snake people from Hindu and Buddhist lore. They may assume the form of a snake, a human, or something in between. In snake form, they can have many heads. In human form, they wear a crown of snakes. They populate various magical kingdoms underwater, underground, and in the sky. These kingdoms are worlds of paradise and riches. It is said that there are Nagas that can make it rain. Ha, get it? Because the money? I got it. I got it. They also possess the elixir of immortality. Some traditions hold that the Naga is a symbol of sacred sexuality. As with humans, some Nagas are good and some are evil. Nagas feature as villains in certain Hindu epics, but the majority of their race tends toward benevolence. In general, they keep to themselves, serving their own society independent of human interaction. Sometimes they are known to extend acts of kindness to humans and gods. For instance, a Naga king named Mukalinda visited Buddha as he meditated in the pouring rain. As a great multi headed cobra, Mukalinda spread out his seven hoods and sheltered Buddha from the rain. The great god Vishnu is attended by Sesha, the king of all Nagas, who appears as a gigantic serpent with many heads. There are also heavenly Nagas who guard the temples of the gods. When humans are kind to them, Nagas may grace them with gifts of jewels. Cool, 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 cool. Love that. Sort of as this, like, kind of sort of a race of beings in between, a race of semi divine beings in between. And I love that semi divine energy because this is a play on that Bodhisattvic Elijah type of energy in their semi divinity. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Love it. Love it. And I love that, we stuck to the more positive ones. Connotations, right? Cool. So now I'm like, okay, what's jackalope giving? Because I feel like when I see the jackalope at the bottom of the deck, I'm kind of just like, eh. But I also, so across that narrow isthmus, and again, I love the energy of heavy traffic because, well, I do and I don't, but mostly I do. I mostly love it because it's like depending on what depending on like where your awareness is and what the environment is looking like sometimes it may seem like there's like more traffic or less traffic that's making that transition, right? Like it's actually like a lot more people than maybe we would have thought in the past or initially, or from a certain maybe more pessimistic or realistic, some people would say, viewpoint. Okay, I'm kind of loving it. I'm kind of loving it. Kind of loving it a lot. Now I don't need keywords. Let's go back to the table of contents. Let's find the jackalope. Jackalope is on page 102. So this is 118, 105. There we go. One more. Jackalope. It is Joker, absurdity, irony, humor, comic relief, playfulness, mischief, mockery, trickster, exaggeration, tall tales, false rumors, and implausibility. I'm kind of loving in this like fool energy. I did kind of say I wanted to. From here, now there is a significator I could look for in the. I kind of wanted to detail that like hermit journey a little bit. I was thinking about it last night, like a trail of cards that I feel like energetically would like detail a certain flavor of journey. But I already forgot. I already forgot what they were, so it's fine. To sort of symbolize that whole like, basically, uh, I could look before and after, not judgment. There are two cards with two like mirrors in the Mystic Mondays that I love that symbolize that like the internal spaces, the two interfaces, right? Of external, internal, and then you go so far internal that you reemerge to the external, but you're reemerge sort of in the void, sort of at a wellspring, at an all point, at a source point, if you will. Where it's like you're getting back into the external, but not the external in the way that we see it with our like human eyes. Okay. Come through Naga energy. Interesting, interesting. Realms both heavenly and underground. All right. Clean flip or clean fall from the Mystic Mondays. I don't know how many I want of these. Again, I love this like this semi-divine being in the middle. Four of Cups, Eight of Cups. Four of Cups came out, Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck. And this is a depiction of the Four of Cups that I actually kind of like. And it makes me think of the Devil card in the SKT. How in the breastplate of the Devil card, there's like the chalice shape is missing. Like there's no heart, right? The Ace of Cups representing the heart where the heart would be. And you see, like, through meditation, that it's sort of like manifesting, like filling the chalice with divine waters. And we do have these trees here, but it's interesting because I kept reading the Naga entry and I'm like, how far am I going to read it? But then it just kept sort of getting better. It does make me think of the Mukalinda. I don't know, I'm butchering it. Mukalinda that used its seven hoods to shelter the Buddha from the rain when the Buddha was meditating. I also can appreciate with these three cups, it's giving like body, mind, and soul, or body, mind, spirit. And it's like there's a portion of each of these. If you were to envision it, I was like stuck between envision and envisage. If you were to envision it as like this person is meditating and there's like streams of liquid pouring from each one of these cups into this one, then it's like this sort of combo type thing. And then I don't know, maybe she drinks from that chalice. I feel like with the Dungeons and Dragons tarot, you kind of gotta get multiples just to like really flesh it out, but you really don't have to. Now, we'll see. Clean flip or clean fall. What am I looking at? Oh, it's a hot air balloon. Okay. Interesting. We saw that energy around the third eye of the Eight of Water and the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, where like the third eye had that sigil ring around it, and then like the cape, cloak, robe of the Eight of Water, like the lining, it had those same runes in it, but he's like, it's coming from the book. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of magicians and wizards lately. Maybe a lot is a strong word. And then I'm looking at this. This is what I was looking at. Like, what is this? You see the characters in the hot air balloon, which is interesting because next weekend is the when they do all the hot air balloons here. I've been seeing signs for it around town. And it feels this to me feels more like a launch than it does a capture, right? That isn't the ogre giant capturing that hot air balloon that like tried to run away. It's almost like um maybe there's like a lot of trees or something where it's getting them clearance. And it's like it's gonna run them as long as it can or walk them because it's a hot air balloon. And then like they can take off from there to give them like more height. Excuse me, because maybe if they were trying to take off from the ground, there would have been a lot of like canopy tree interference. It reads more cooperative to me than competitive or well, it's not the ogre trying to get a meal. Okay, well, almost. Clean flipper, clean fall, please. Oh, my drink is gone. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. Oh, okay. Now the cards are like starting to flow. Can you see this much? Oop. Do I want three? I was kind of excited that this one was going to be like a little shorter because I feel like we're like reaching the end of it. You know what I mean? I know there's been the energy of like the golden opportunity. So the golden haired goddess of opportunity. I'm like, okay. Oh, I might have to sneeze again. Excuse me. I could have muted it, but ooh, there's a chill. It is getting a little warm. This crowd is making my head sweat. This will be my Princess Peach cosplay. Let's give me a pink dress and some white gloves. I'll be good to go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards that flipped over. It was a whole little chunk that flipped over. Ooh, interesting. Bottom of the deck is this knight with this eye. And a winged helmet. So she's giving some kind of mix between like a Hermes and Hephaestus, Mercury and Vulcan type energy. Mercury because of the winged helmet, Hephaestus Vulcan because of the mechanical clockwork sort of nature of that night, right? Now I love that we start with this door, with this page, with it's open. With the tiger, and then we have the lover's card. And then we have this ace. And what catches my eye is that symbol on his chest. because it's very much so giving that wind horn energy that we saw in the runic tarot associated with fire and lightning. Now, it's like on one side of the door, we have, like, this is one side. One second. Let's see if I can mute it in time. Yep, and now it fell. It's fine. We can just set this aside. Ooh, goodness. I got it right here. One second. See, it's like I almost got to sneeze. These are like two different sides of the door. See, every time I go to turn my head to sneeze, I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. I'll be right back. All right. I'm like, where'd it go? I just saw it. There's like, I'm gonna pour a shot in here, even though there's like barely anything left. I am not desperately trying to finish this bottle, and I don't have to do it on camera, obviously. I could just like drink it right. But this is the OJL juice. This is the Oracle juice. Oh, that's a big shot. Wanna be a big shot? So it's like these are two different sides of the same door. One side ordinary, the other side fantastical. I'm giving it a good mix because there's still a little bit of that cherry lime Ricky. I feel like it's all burned now. Okay. So it's like on the mortal side of the door, we have this energy. On the ethereal, fairy, spiritual, other side of the door, we have this energy. And we've seen this in not the medicine wheel, not the mystical shaman. I feel like there's another card in the mystical shaman oracle cards where we see at least the bear, if not like other animals. So it's giving this energy of like, oh, girl, this is where you got to be careful. This is where you got to be careful. This is where you need to use your intuition, discernment, and don't go necessarily playing or messing with forces that you don't understand or know or trust. Because it seems like there are things that like when this person opens the door, they kind of like flood through the door and into the person. Now, if these are aspects of whatever for you, then it's like a sort of claiming, reclaiming, integrating type energy. But again, that's with like portals and doorways and spiritual forces that I hope one would be familiar with. And that would be, again, trustworthy because you don't necessarily want just, it's not about being a vessel necessarily for anything and anybody to just like slip into. You know what I mean? Now we should have what, three, four more, three more. There were six cards. We have this nine, this knight, and the world. Hey, we have the world again. I'll show you the cards. See, this after this is a little concerning. Is at the very least mildly concerning. Because again, it was that, I don't know. I feel like maybe I've just always been too chicken. Maybe I've always been too chicken and too cowardly to go playing with stuff that I don't know nothing about. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I've seen enough trailers of horror movies and I've heard enough horror stories of people who thought it would be fun to just, like F around and then they found out. And I don't F around because I'm not trying to find out. Hearsay is good enough for me. I don't need my own personal experience. I don't need somebody like close to us. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, where I can appreciate a healthy distance. And it kind of sort of is giving, but maybe like that's kind of this difference because with this Four of Cups, we see meditation and the cultivation of forces. And in that meditation and cultivation, it's like you build a relationship and hopefully a kind of like discernment. So you can like get the vibe of like, okay, like, you know what I mean? And then we have this night. Maybe these are like different things though. I mean, like there's this, right? Because there are two different people on the other side of the gate. Maybe one of them is the good wolf and the other one is the bad wolf, and they can both give you an experience. But it's like one of those in the long run. What kind of experience do you want, right? There's the short term experience with long term ramifications, and then there's like the longer term, maybe with. I mean, the ramifications are sort of the same, but anyway, I'm gonna look at this night because there's this guy. It just feels a little like puppet to me. It feels a little golem. It feels a little puppet. It feels a little empty suit of armor. It feels a little like nobody's at home. But then you have this world card, and we just saw the world card in the Diablo Tarot, and it's like that one. I don't know. It takes all kinds of people. Maybe that's what South Node and Virgo is saying. Don't discriminate against evil forces that take over people and do shady things. They deserve a seat at the table too. Like Let's do that. 231. Maybe the world stands alone. So maybe these are like different dynamics. Maybe I'll go sober for like a year. Let's leave the OJLs at home. How about that? I mean, as if things would get any more whatever. What am I looking for? I'm looking for. So, where I'm kind of sitting right now is this world card represents like three different experiences. And then these are three different experiences, right? You could say there's this one of like the full ego, where the energies come into sort of the body, but the person doesn't lose agency. There's this one of no ego, where it's basically a puppet. And then there's this one in the middle of, and maybe if we take the connotation of the card a little, like if we take the illustration and the feelings that they conjure a little less on the nose, it's an integration, right? This is like a spirit of greed in a person that was already greedy, so they're kind of like working together. It's not necessarily full ego or like full possession. But if you were to take greed out of it, that could be like a spirit of compassion that finds host in a compassionate individual. So it's like the spirit kind of empowers them to do the things that they were wanting to do or going to do anyway. You know, if you go long enough on these, eventually you'll end up in the weird part of the reading where you're like, what is this? Wait. So it's not the Knight of Charisma. I don't think it's the Knight of Wisdom. It may be that, it might be actually. It is the Knight of Wisdom. Trusting your passion, allowing yourself to dream big, and imagining the best happening for you. There are whispers that the mayor of the town was seen signing a pact with an imp. The imp is interesting because every time I read the pests in that Dungeons and Dragons, not the Dungeons and Dragons, in that Magic the Gathering card booster pack, it was giving imp energy. But again, like imps, pests, it's like little things that will irritate you until like the frustration builds up into something greater, or until it's almost like they do that fusion into like a monstrosity of nightmaric proportion. Right. When it was just one, it's like when you feed your were they gremlins? When you feed your mogwai after midnight and then it becomes a gremlin type energy. Kind of, not really. So it's the Knight of Wisdom, the Nine of Wisdom. That's the Nine of Wisdom. Finding the balance between enjoying our accomplishments and not slipping into complacency. So it is giving that balance, right? Where they kind of sort of work together. It's not all one or the other. And then this ace, maybe the ace of wisdom. It's the ace of wisdom. This is entirely in the suit of wisdom, which is interesting because we have the world here, right? There's the ace of wisdom, there's the nine of wisdom, and then there's the knight of wisdom. Ace of wisdom, our ability to access the power of insight to heal emotions and love ourselves. A group of elves asks if the party would aid them in recovering a sacred artifact. Is the ace. And the nine is a horde of marauders is rumored to be en route to a village. The townsfolk ask the party for help. And then we got this world card. What's the world card say? What are you gonna give me? Endings coming to a place of completion and power internally and externally. Internal and external power. Cool, because we got those three paths. You see someone weeping at the side of the road. They are being forced to marry someone they don't want to. Is the little, because it's the Dungeons and Dragons tarot. If you want to incorporate it into your D&D campaign, the different cards have like a different like quest or something that you could, do. Might as well read this knight at the bottom of the deck, right? The Knight of Charisma. Finding a way to enjoy routine, take responsibility for our own success, and let go of expectations. Good work speaks for itself. The local mad wizard wants basilisk or cockatrice eggs and is willing to pay handsomely. Both the basilisk and the cockatrice are creatures that will petrify you. So they're going to pay handsomely for it. It's almost like that hazard pay, right? It's like if you get really, really good hazard pay for something, you might have to like ask if the hazard is like, hazard pay of like an extra dollar, two, three per hour, right? So if you salaryify that, it would amount to 3 times 40 times 52 extra dollars a year. Right, 3 times 40 times 52. Oops. That'll get you an extra $6,000 a year pre-tax. And it's like, okay, if you get like 10, 20, $30 in hazard pay, it's like, okay, like what's life expectancy? You know what I mean? Am I gonna get like one check and then just drop dead? Like, in seeing that with a depiction of greed, I'm not surprised that every single card that came out is one of wisdom. And I feel like also wisdom is a hard thing to apply in arenas of risk analysis. And I feel like it's hard because we all have different capabilities and we all have different priorities and we all have different like lifestyles, right? So if someone has like a family with a newborn baby, then even if they have the same personal risk, it's like it's different than if someone didn't have a family because they're only responsible for themselves versus being responsible for, someone who can't be responsible for themselves because they're a literal baby. And also, again, like with different capabilities, if someone has the constitution to withstand like colder temperatures, then their risk sort of assessment is different than someone who, like, I know there's a condition where like in the cold people's bodies just seem to like shut down. Like one of my residents when I was in RA, one of my buddies, he had that where it was like his hands would just be like no color because his body could not tolerate the cold at all. Like that's a different kind of risk, right? Or if you have like, if there's risk, like if you're carrying something that like a hazardous material, but like the containers themselves do a really good job of like containing and isolating the hazard, but they're like weighty, right? If you have someone that can carry and manage the weight relatively easily, their risk is different than someone who would struggle with it. because it doesn't matter how good the container is at containing the thing if like you drop it and break it because it's too heavy for you. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, I feel like that it introduces a really interesting element to this. And so maybe there is, and we see it in this Four of Cups. I was going to say maybe there's a need to check in with the self at the present moment and to recalibrate our personal narratives. Because if we are truly capable of doing something, then our risk assessment may, like the risk assessment calculation for something may come out as like minimal risk. But if we're like running an old narrative, or if we are like viewing ourselves in a distorted lens, something could look to be of a high risk to the point where we don't take it. And then maybe in hindsight or upon further reflection, we would go like, oh, like that's something I actually could do because I've done this and I've done these other things that have prepared me for this, or like I've had this experience that has taught me something, or like my narrative has been corrected, blah 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 blah. Right? Even if it's not necessarily like risk associated, it could be rather than like a risk assessment, it could be like a fulfillment sort of assessment. And maybe there's an opportunity that we get that we think that we won't be fulfilled by because of whatever. But if we were to actually like take a moment, reflect, introspect, and check in with ourselves, we'll see like, hey, like because of this experience or that experience, like I might actually find more fulfillment in this than I think. It could be anything. But this presence of like mind, body, and soul, because that's what the three cups are giving me, is important. The mind could be like a mental, I almost want to say fortitude, both in the capacity to rise to any like intellectual challenge, but also to like not be burnout or to like it not being so like mentally draining or taxing or whatever. Physically, like constitution, right? It could be an hours thing, maybe an overnight thing, maybe it could be like demanding in whatever way, right? Maybe you haven't really gotten a lot of physical exercise in a while, or you haven't been mobile for a minute. And so, you know, dedicating yourself to a however many mile hike up an incline, you know, you don't want to put yourself in danger, especially if you're like an ex asthmatic or something like that. I haven't needed my inhaler for years. And it's like, yeah, girl, because you don't do anything. You know what I mean? Not necessarily, yeah, speaking from personal experience, you know, I had my moment at Sleeping Bear Dunes when I was seeing both the elderly and children going up that hill, and I made it like not that far. And I was like, girl, I don't have my inhaler. Like, my it's not even filled. The prescription is out of date and I don't know where it is. It's because I you know, anyway. And then spiritually, I feel like maybe that's where you get more into like alignment, or like is there something that it speaks to? So if it's a money thing, does it speak to greed, or does it speak to a need to be seen a certain way? You know what I mean? Like a status type thing. And it's just this, it's this complete check-in, and then it's like it checks all the boxes, and it's like, yeah, you know, you can accept that opportunity, and maybe you do a little bit of negotiating, right? And maybe that's part of the wisdom that you sort of like take on. There are a few things that you like, you ask clarifying questions, or you clear up, or you do whatever, right? Because again, with the Sabian symbols that we're working under, um again, we have that like golden haired goddess of opportunity with that energy of like equality and like a world where certain contexts don't color certain whatever. It's like where you would never even think that like something is an issue or whatever, right? It's like low hanging fruit. Like let's say you're eating ice cream or nachos and cheese, or like drinking a glass of milk while you're eating cookies. Cookies and milk is not that just drinking milk is weird, but and then like let's say you're with someone like that's lactose intolerant. And they're like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna drink that whole glass of milk, like you're gonna eat that whole thing of ice cream, like you're gonna eat those nachos and cheese. Don't you know what it's gonna do to you later? And if you don't sort of know where they're coming from, you may be like, "Oh my gosh, like, no, like, what is it gonna do? Like, why can't I have milk? What's going on? What didn't they tell me? Is milk a carcinogen now?" And it's like, no, like you're gonna be on the toilet for like whatever because like, and you're like, oh, I'm not lactose intolerant. Like it's like so in their risk analysis, it would come out a certain way, but for you, it sort of wouldn't. Um, and so that was kind of maybe playing into the whole Virgo ness of it all, of the chocolate child or chocolate children playing with whites. So I wish I could like find the OG. I mean, it may sort of be the same. I was like, I wish I could find the OG. Hey Holly, how you doing? And maybe not necessarily, it's fine. Um, but also at the same time, on the topic of risk analysis and perception, it does take me back to the falling airplane of Gemini, 9 to 10 degrees. Because if a plane is making a landing, to somebody, it may look like it's falling, right? There could be something that looks like a disaster or whatever, when in reality, it kind of isn't. What is this page? I feel like this is the page of strength. No. Is it the page of intelligence? No. Is it the page of. It can't be the page of wisdom. No, it's the page of charisma. That was a page, right? Yeah, it's the page of charisma. Getting into action and rekindling a sense of adventure with even the small things. Realize what isn't working. Something has torn down the rope bridge that spans the chasm. The villagers need help rebuilding it. It's such an interesting um, campaign suggestion when we have the 3 to 4 degrees Pisces heavy traffic across a narrow isthmus. But here, there is no bridge, but on the north node of Pisces, there is. It's a land bridge. Apparently, we're doing the hustle. Cool. All right, let's get final cards. Take it as resonate if it resonate. If it don't resonate, don't take it. I feel like, yeah, it's an OJL, and OJL stands for Oracle Juice Live. So maybe I ain't got to go for so many low hanging fruits. Ooh. I feel like the fumes coming through the straw is stronger than any of the liquid. Excuse me. Yeah. It's like I got alcohol vapors in there. Alcohol is gone, but the vapor is still very much so there. Ooh, girl. Sorry. just I was trying to get like one of the last sips and the vapors just hit me. The vapors. Okay. All right. All right. Cool. So maybe that fits, right? Because it's a full moon Sagittarius. So the sun is in Gemini. Gemini is like the local environment. Sagittarius, you could say Gemini is like local environment and like street smart slash common sense. And then Sagittarius is like the global arena and higher education, philosophy, right? So the sun is where we are now. The moon is somewhere in the distance, and the nodes are Virgo Pisces. The south node is in Virgo, meaning the south node is kind of sort of in the routine, the day to day, maybe more so the comfort zone, where the north node in Pisces could be daring us to dream for one, and also asking us, recommending to us, encouraging us to trust our intuition and discernment for two. So, like, dare to dream, trust your intuition and discernment, like, be cognizant and aware of like where you are now, but also leave room for the future. And it's a full moon, so it illuminates, but it doesn't necessarily show everything. Um, and beyond the South Node in Virgo just being like not the dream killer, because that's a bit extreme. But like the routine, the everyday, like, oh, but I don't usually do this and I don't usually do that. South Node in Virgo could also be like you've it's like you've already made all the preparations that you need to make and you know what works for you, right? So even if your location changes, even if your job changes, even if your responsibilities change, it's like remember the things that keep you grounded, remember the things that bring you routine and like a sense of safety. Remember the things that like fuel you. So if you know that 10 minutes a day outside is like really good for you, so even when your routine changes, like make sure you get that 10 minutes a day. If you know that you need a full night's sleep to be like functioning, then like get the sleep. And it's like it's almost like rather than sacrificing sleep to stay up and get something done, if you know that overall that's going to hurt your performance, then maybe try to like rework things so that you can get the sleep and then wake up the next day like fully charged and actually productive, because it doesn't benefit you to like burn the candle at both ends, burn out, and then not deliver anything of quality. You know what I mean? So cool. Cool, cool. Love it. Awesome. Great. Fantastic. Wonderful. Amazing. Terrific. Splendid. Groovy. Cool. Already said cool. No. Wicked. Tubular. Gnarly. I think I'm out of words. Ooh, oh gosh. They just love to just slide off that little incline, don't they? All right, let's see who fell out. Let's see who fell out. Who fell out? Ooh. Oh, come on. I was about to say, don't pretend like you ain't hit the floor. I heard you. I felt you. I think it was just that. Oh, when I tell you that allergies are allergiesing, got me allerwheezing. Is this? Oh, it's another ace. I don't think this is the ace of intelligence. excuse me, if I had to guess, I want to say it's the ace of charisma because charisma is earth and it's giving me the forge. And the forge is giving me more. There's that like Vulcan energy again, by the way. The forge, yeah, this is the ace of charisma. The forge is giving me more earth than it is fire today. Cool. And it's presenting this sword. And it's like being presented by a dwarf, right? Dwarven steel, Dwarven forging is like next level. And you could say it's because of their environment that they have um, just a better knowledge of those like ores, minerals, materials because like they live is like right there. You know what I mean? And they work it. And maybe there's something about getting to see something in its natural environment, getting to see it like, okay, I'm gonna have to blow my nose. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I feel like I've done enough OJOs that like my tolerance is going back up. um, but yeah, it's like they get to see it in an environment where it like naturally grows, forms, and thrives. And so I don't know, for some reason it's like it's different than it's like if you only see somebody at work and if you see them like thrive at work, you might miss like maybe there are parts of their home life that also make them like successful at work when they're on the clock. I feel like there's not a better way to necessarily say that, but there's something about seeing something in its natural environment where you can, it's almost like because the dwarves live down there, observation by the dwarves is also a part of that material's like natural environment. It would be like being observed by something or someone that's not from that environment that would be different, right? It's like, if you have a child that's really shy, if you live with that child, then it's like it's used to you being in its environment. But if you don't, now you're like this outside influence that sort of evokes that shyness because it's something from outside. Anyway, bottom of the deck is this lady. She was at the bottom of the deck in the beginning. I was like, love her. I don't know where her story is, but she could be the two of charisma because she's got it, or she could be the two of like strength because she's got it. Let's see. I'll look at strength first. She is the two of strength. Growing and making progress toward a future goal. Enjoy discovering what you love to do. Enjoy discovering what you love to do is such an interesting little thing to put on there, especially with the energy of opportunity that we've seen in this reading. And it feels not like oxymoronic, but like an opportunity to discover something that you'll love. Because, especially with that, like, dwarven, um, they're at home with the precious ores and minerals and, materials. There's a certain, maybe, openness that has to be there. Cool. Mystic Mondays, final card. Uh-oh. I'd have to bust out the hanky. 1 second. You'd be like, Patrick, you have a hanky in your pocket? Why have you been getting up to blow your nose? Because if I don't have to snot up a hanky, I prefer to not. So if my nose is just like a little runny, then it's like, I don't mind using the hanky. But if it's going to be a lot and I can dispose of it, I'd rather do that anyway. The trick is to use all the folds in the hanky and to be consistent. For me, the trick for me is to be consistent. Okay. Mystic Mondays, final card. Ooh, all right, I guess it's you. It's 2. We have the Moon in Temperance. This is literally Moon in Sagittarius. Temperance is Sagittarius, the Moon is the Moon. Also Pisces Sagittarius. So, and when I started the live, the Moon was like 5 minutes from Sagittarius. It was still within the same degree. It was 3 degrees, 50 some odd minutes of North Node Pisces, Moon, and Sagittarius. Bottom of the deck is the Empress. Oh, I'm gonna have to blow my nose again. Oh goodness. I don't know where Venus is. At any point in time, Venus, I think, can be only up to 2 signs away from the sun. So, Sun in Gemini, it has to be between Aries and Leo. I don't think it's in Taurus anymore. I also don't think it's in Gemini. Is it in Cancer? Let's see. Venus is in Cancer. Oh my gosh. Look at that. It's moving close to Jupiter. Venus at 14 degrees, which is, 14, temperance. Jupiter's at 23 degrees. The sun is in Gemini. So Venus isn't too far. I don't know how much faster or slower Venus is than the sun. So I don't know when that retrograde is going to be happening. I don't know if I got to maybe I have to update this app. I feel like the calculator isn't calculating like it used to, where it calculates out like retrogrades and when it crosses cusps and stuff like that. Anyway. Oh my gosh, you literally see butt cheeks on this moon card, and that's crazy. I'm sorry. There's something here. It's not equivalent exchange. There's this larger thing and then there are these smaller things, right? So it's like there's a balance here, but this larger thing can't get on the seesaw until you have an appropriate number of smaller things. And it's kind of interesting because it's like, well, if it's supposed to be a balance of the two, then if you get like, it's going to be unbalanced until you get enough of the smaller things to balance out the larger thing, right? Meaning, we may think like, oh, well, like, if we have to wait to get enough small things to balance out the big thing, then like, why don't we have to wait for the small things? Because it's unbalanced up until that point. Excuse me. But I think also at the same time with this moon card, it's almost like what we might envision to be arbitrary because it doesn't read like for every three small things, you get one big thing. So you can start to count the smaller ones. It's like that. It's seen to be arbitrary. So um, there's a certain, like you could say that it's human nature to intellectualize things and to, it's like the how brains function to try to recognize patterns, right? Even if we don't necessarily consciously try to recognize patterns, if our brains have been in a situation enough times, it's almost like subconsciously we pick up on it, right? So again, like even for things that we're not necessarily looking for, we can sort of grow that expectation. But there's no clear pattern or link between these two things, which can confuse certain things, especially in the realm of replication or learning from someone else. Right. And maybe that's the thing about mutable signs, kind of in general, because they are mutable, they're each sort of like different or unique. Like the balance or the ratio or proportions are at least slightly different for like every iteration or example of whatever. Right. And then we have the Empress at the bottom of the deck. We have all major arcana cards. Empress may be giving an energy of contribution. And that contribution to a thing, even if it's just like energetic, right? The contribution to the thing also makes something, um, what's the word I just used? Not abstract, um, just like different. Excuse me. All right, and then we'll get our last mythical creature, and we'll be done. Oh man, how did we? I feel like it was just like 40 minutes. It's fine. I have had to blow my nose quite a few times. My allergy pills were like, maybe it's been too much. I feel like they were doing a great job. I was like, wow, I've been out here walking and like all this pollen in the air. I'm not even that bothered. And now this weekend, I'm like, oh, girl, them pills working overtime. Maybe it's time to get some local honey or something. All right. I actually got an allergy shot one time when I was in, I think, seventh or eighth grade. All right. Final card. Actually, we'll do 3, 2, 1, and a cut. I'm like listening. The mermaid with the Caladrius at the bottom of the deck. No, we see the, what do you call it? Caduceus. That Caduceus energy, the Rod of Asclepius. It's like this medicinal. I've never seen this card before. Delivering babies and medicines. And then the mermaid is the card that came out. I'm more interested in the card at the bottom of the deck, but I'll read a little bit of both. Why not? I'll read a little bit of both of these. 112 for the mermaid and 68 for the Caladrius. And what was it? Was it 108? No, 108 is the Kitsune. What was mermaid? 112. That was close. Mermaid. Keywords are emotion, passion, desire, sensuality, love, romance, longing, infatuation, obsession, beauty, femininity, sensitivity, empathy, and intuition. I'm going to read the first, and I guess it's only 2 paragraphs, so. Belonging to an entire race of merfolk, mermaids have always been far more prevalent in folklore than their male counterparts, the mermen. Historically, mermaids would be sighted by lonely sailors who were easily seduced by the mysterious sea maidens. Yet sailors were often warned against falling for their legendary beauty, as lovelorn mermaids were reputed to drag men underwater and drown them. The modern day conception of the mermaid is widely influenced by the 19th century Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. He wrote about a young mermaid who fell hopelessly in love with a human prince. This story became the basis of Disney's The Little Mermaid, although Andersen's original had a much more tragic ending. Mermaids may be best known from Western folklore, but similar looking beings come from all around the world. For example, the Japanese mermaid is called the Ningyo and lives in a world of undersea luxury, concealing its fish-like body with a long silk gown. The Australian Aboriginal mermaid is called the Yakiyak and dwells in fresh water, having the magical ability to make women more fertile. The Mamiwata are mermaids from West Africa and are materialistic, manipulative, and deceptive. Another African mermaid, the Jengu, from Cameroon, is more benevolent. Certain ocean goddesses of the world are also portrayed as mermaids, such as Sedna of the Inuit and Yemaya from Western African and the Caribbean. From West Africa and the Caribbean. So interesting that we got that. What was the luxury of the Ningyo? The Ningyo live in a world of undersea luxury, just like some of those Naga were associated with like luxury and opulence and stuff like that. And then the Caladrius is healing, curing, problem solving, good deeds, charity, altruism, health, medicine, diagnosis, forgiveness, peace, reparation, and restoration. The Roman Caladrius. I knew it. I knew it had to be like Latin, just because of the letters. Because I'm like, anyway, it's fine. The Roman Caladrius is a radiant, pure white bird resembling a cross between a duck and an egret. Is it egret or egret? Egret. It is said to have been brought to Europe by Alexander the Great, who discovered it in Persia. Although it looks relatively mundane for a mythical creature, the Caladrius possesses a most extraordinary power. It automatically knows when a person is ailing and what they suffer from. It also communicates its diagnosis through head gestures. If it refuses to look at a person, then the person is so ill that they are going to die. Most of the time, it heals people by drawing their sickness out of them and into its own body. A caladrius that has taken a person's sickness turns gray instead of white. It then flies out into the sunlight, where its health and white color become restored. This bird is frequently depicted perching on the bedpost of an ailing king, although it will just as willingly treat any common person. Its diagnosis and treatments were more effective than most doctors. Similarly, bird dealers learned to keep their caladrius hidden, as it would treat any person who simply walked into the store. After Rome became Christianized, the magnanimous healing powers of the caladrius became seen as an allegory for salvation. Interesting. Oh, look! Look what's under the caladrius. The naga. What? Cool. So that's what I got. I feel like it was what it was. Take it as it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. I hope you'll have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in limit to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. And until next time, um, I don't know. It is interesting because I guess Libra is justice, right? Justice with that King of Pentacles. Because it was, I remember saying recently, there was some point early 2020 or early 2021, it came through in a Libran energy that was very like, you've done the work and the reward is coming. So when the opportunity or reward comes, please claim it, right? Like you've already done the work. It's like clocking in, doing the work, and then refusing your paycheck. Like, oh, like you don't have to pay me. Like, and it's like rightfully yours type energy. Um, and yeah, I already did the ending spiel, and I will probably definitely do the booster pack next time. I know I kind of like hinted at doing it yesterday. That was kind of my intention, but it didn't happen. I honestly feel like it continues to unravel and stuff, and I guess I'm glad that I kept going. But it's one of those where like it doesn't necessarily feel like the energy is like changed. So I'm kind of like, is there a benefit to going live? But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I've kind of gotten out of the habit of questioning it a little bit. And I feel like there's always something like maybe it comes out slightly differently so that if it is for someone, it may resonate in a way that it's like worded, presented, phrased as like they encounter it that sort of time rather than in a previous time. We get deeper and like different things present themselves. And I don't necessarily feel like the other side of it will like come out necessarily. Excuse me. I tried to hit the mute button, but it didn't work. I also gotta make sure I'm not sneezing into my hair. Oh my gosh. That's what I usually go. Anyway, it's fine. Um, yeah. Maybe I'll hydrate and come back. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait. I don't know. Who knows? I'll catch y'all later. Y'all hear her? That's my number one fan on the other side of the door.